Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. The earth will not continue to offer its harvest except with faithful stewardship. We cannot say we love the land and then take steps to destroy it for the use by future generations. Good morning to one and all present here, and welcome to the webinar, which is surely going to be a learning experience for each one of us present today. They say the ultimate test of a man's conscience may be his willingness to sacrifice something today for future generations whose words of thanks will not be heard. Well, I think the master of this test is here with us today, a man who needs no introduction. You all might not know his real name, but surely recognize him with his title, the one and only, the Recycle Man of India, Dr. BINISH Desai, a waste warrior and Indian environmentalist, innovator, and social activist. Dr. BINISH Desai is an innovator and a social entrepreneur working on industrial waste recycling and management. He holds a master's degree in environmental engineering and a PhD in environmental science and technology. He started his career at a very young age, that's 11 years, by carrying out home-based experiments with the chewing gum and paper. He currently has 150 plus eco products under the Eco-Electric Technologies banner in India. He is a Padma Shri nominee and have received many national and international awards for his contributions, such as being youngest to be awarded with Rotary International Alumni Humanitarian of the Year Award for South Asia, Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia 2018 list of successful social entrepreneurs, etc. He is known as the Waste Warrior and Recycling Man of India for his works in recycling more than 700 tons of industrial waste. He believes that the concept of waste does not exist in nature. The waste was generated by human consumption, thus it is our duty to sustainably get rid of it. With a vision to eliminate the industrial waste from landfills, he founded Eco-Electric Technology in 2016, a lab that focuses on providing cost-effective, eco-friendly technologies and solutions for various industrial wastes, using them for social impact. His famous quote is, "There is nothing useless in this world. What might be a waste for you is someone's asset." His innovations include, and students be very careful and listen to this, his innovations include conversion of the used PPE kits and masks into bricks, creation of building material from 49 different types of waste. He has built 70 homes and 1,000 toilets for poor citizens in slum areas of India till 2019. Also, he's invented soundproof panels made from fabric lint, furniture panels made from human hair, paver blocks made from metal, textile, and paper waste, vitrified tiles from various waste absorbent artificial wood, P-block bricks from paper mills waste. And students, very proudly, we have a man with us whose recycling work has reduced carbon emissions by 1,300 metric tons. Where we all were busy utilizing the resources, there was somebody actually working for sustainable development and future generations. We're truly delighted and we extend a very warm welcome to you, sir. Before I pass on the stage to you, we have a small video to be shown which gives a little glimpse of the voluminous and valuable work of yours. Can we please have the video?
स्वच्छ भारत का इरादा कर लिया हमने
Well, I think this was a highly motivational and very, very inspiring video. Dr. Desai, our students are very eager to know this journey of yours from a 10 years boy to becoming a waste warrior of India. Please share your enlightening experiences with us.
Good morning. In fact, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting. I hope I'm audible to everyone. So, first of all, thank you so much for this wonderful introduction of mine. I'm very much, happy and that I'm sharing on my journey today on this occasion. So, let's start. Let's talk about something that we see every day, yet we ignore most times. I'm talking about waste. So the concept of waste does not exist in nature. It's a human consumption that has started creating it. So millions of years ago, before man and technology evolved, everything from the food we ate, the clothes we wore, and also the shelters that we lived in, everything would go back to nature. But now, the human consumption and with different technologies evolving, materials have become very complex, and thus nature is no longer able to break down all these materials, thus resulting in generation of waste. We always see waste as something that is completely useless, but my concept is completely different about it. Most of us right now think our when we are throwing our waste, it is segregated and it goes to into various recyclers or mostly into the landfills, and that's one of the reasons we see a lot of these waste ending up into the oceans. So why is it so? And that's something which exactly what we are going to talk about today. The most common practice out here, especially if I'm talking about India, is landfilling. It's basically disposing of your waste into a land which is completely useless. The other most common practice is also incineration, burning, or also common term is burning of waste. So these are the two negative waste management techniques that are prevalent, and that's where I'm trying to fight against this and trying to find solution of how we can convert this waste into assets. So in this, we need to first understand what exactly is recycling. A lot of us out here feel recycling means basically giving it to the recyclers. But what's actually happening? Have we ever asked the question, after our Raddiwala takes our papers and all these Raddis, what is he doing out of it? What are the segregators doing out of it? So let me tell you, most of us out here, basically what we are doing is basically segregation of waste and not recycling of waste. It's like taking your waste from one house and throwing it elsewhere. We hear a lot about cleanup drives, etc., but essentially we are just relocating the waste rather than getting rid of it. So that's where recycling comes in. Recycling uses materials to convert it into something else of use. And that's what I have been doing. Eco Eclectic Technologies is a group where we are based on three major things. The first is environmental impact. So all our products are based on environmental impact. Second is ensuring that it is also used by everyone. So creating a social awareness and social impact as well, that it is accessible to everyone in need. And third is commercial viability. So it also needs to be economically benefited to everyone so that all the people who are buying these products can actually use them as well. So these are the three things that base out my eco-eclectic technologies. And what we do here is I like to call it as a salon for industrial waste, where the waste comes in and becomes products that people desire. They are cost effective than the conventional materials. They are unique and they solve a problem that is creating a social problem. For example, sanitation, housing, and all these things. You may be thinking I may have started recently, but actually my journey started at the age of 10. when I was watching Captain Planet. He was a cartoon that was coming on Cartoon Network, and he was my favorite cartoon, and he was a superhero. So I would always say, Captain Planet, he's a hero cutting pollution down to zero. So that tagline would always resonate in my ears, and I would say, okay, I want to help Captain Planet one day. So that's how that journey began, and I started drawing out these innovations. For example, my first invention was something that may sound crazy, but it kind of worked, and it if we still try doing it, it may probably work as well. So I observed one day my mom cooking, and the water vapor that would come out from there, from the kitchen. So I designed this entire machine that basically, because I learned evaporation and condensation in school uh, during that time, and I said, okay, I want to design this particular machine which will convert this water vapor, condense it into water for gardening. So I designed this first machine kind of a thing. So that's how the journey started. But what I am today is because at the age of 11, a very funny incident happened with me. I was sitting in a class, and somehow a chewing gum got stuck on my pants, and the class was going on. So I tried removing it with a piece of paper, and it had hardened up. So I went back home. I was a curious kid, so I went back home, did the same experiment again, and that actually resulted in the first brick what we make today. But that was just the beginning. It was never meant to be a brick back then. I learned about the word slums during the same year, and the negativity that surrounded it. So again, in the fashion of trying to help save the environment, I said, I'll make world's cheapest house. Now, as an 11-year-old, I do not know how to make a house. So at that time, I literally thought that houses were made like Lego blocks, using Lego bricks, big size. So I said, okay, if I want to make a house, I need to create these cost-effective Lego blocks or Lego bricks. And that's how the journey started. I failed several times. It wasn't a hard thing, but I would always say, okay, let me try one last time. Let me try one last time. And I would add up all these crazy things into it, and eventually at the age of 14, I was finally able to create the final recipe which we still use today, which is of the p blocks. And that has been a very learning experience. That was kind of my first waste that I was working with, which was the waste generated from paper mills. And at the age of 16 in 2010, when I come from a uh, small town, so working with waste was a taboo. So at the age of 16, I went against everyone and started my company in the backyard of a paper mill, in its garage, where I started making these bricks, and it took me almost 11 months to make the first 3,000 bricks. And so when I'm talking about waste, it's been a long time that I've been working along with it. And what I see is, a lot of people see it as something useless. I see it as like a clay. You can play with it, you can do a lot of things with it, but it's just that you need to change your perspective about it being from icky to it being, oh wow, this I can do something like this, understanding the material. And that's exactly what I've been doing ever since then. So starting with the paper mill waste to today, more than almost 70 different types of waste are being recycled into 150 plus products. So why is it always that a lot of our waste end up into the landfills? So I'm going to share with you a very simple formula for it. So as I said about paper waste, right? So when I'm talking about paper waste, most of us out here would agree with me that you think paper is recyclable, right? Well, you are only half right, because paper may be recyclable, but paper is not commercially recyclable. When I'm saying this, I mean to say is this: so there's a huge difference between the two. If you're recycling paper in your house, you're making craft items, you're making paper mache and all these things, then yes, you are recycling it for your own consumption. But when it is taken by your raddiwalas and it is sent to the paper mills to be recycled into brand new paper again, only 40 to 60% of your paper becomes brand new paper, otherwise the rest of it ends up into the landfills in the form of sludge or slurries or fibers, you know. So that's what's happening, because it's not commercially viable for those paper mills to recycle them into a brand new paper again. So this is where the problem is, as the logistics cost and the cost of processing that particular waste is actually, if it's less than what the value of the material that we are going to make, then only then a product is commercially recyclable. If not, then we are stuck with it, you know, that's just going to end up into the landfills. Most of the recyclers out there are basically segregating the waste, where they are taking the waste of higher value and selling it to the potential other people who can use those waste. The rest of it, which is low grade plastics, different types of unsegregated waste, is again going into the landfills. So this is where the problem is. And to put in a perspective, let me share with you, more than 43,000 industries produce 19,000 tons of waste every day. That's like throwing 10,000 cars into the landfills daily. So here is where we come in. In fact, I want to share the entire way how we can get rid of this waste, how you guys can join in, and how waste can become an asset. So we follow a very simple formula. It is basically divided into three aspects. That's our process. The first is identification, second is segregation, and third is eco-processing. So at Eco Eclectic Technologies, first, when we are working with something new, we first identify. So identifying a problem, identifying what kind of waste it is, how the process, what type of process it has been generated from, and how is it being consumed? Is it before consumption, after consumption? So that's identification. We do it in three various ways. One is our clients approach us with that particular waste, or let's say if it's an institution like yours, who is basically trying to identify what are the waste generated in your space. So we collect that data, we identify what are the different types, what are their structures, how do they feel like, what can they be used for. That's identification. Second is segregation. When I talk about segregation, I just do not mean, you know, dry waste or wet waste. It basically also means segregating very specifically. For example, if you want to collect coffee, we will have specific eco bins that are placed at these various locations, where we are collecting only that specific coffee waste. Compared to all the other things as well, we have different types of eco bins. The most recent one being PPE face masks. So we are keeping these PPE face masks at different hospitals, public spaces, salons, restaurants, all these places to collect these particular waste. Once it is there, we'll disinfect it and be using it for our Brick 2.0. So, you know, this is called specific segregation. And here also it means for industries to give it to us in a way that it's completely segregated into different, may it be an ETP, may it be plastic waste. It may not be, so if it's mixed plastic, we still take it, but then it has to be identified as a non-segregated waste. So it's also in a way type of a specific segregation. So this is our second way of, this is the second step of our process. And the third is something that I'm going to elaborate on, which is eco-processing. So as I said, you know, nature, right? So there is nothing in nature, it's us who are doing it. So when you observe around nature, as there is no waste, we also understand how nature works in terms of recycling. So based on that entire model, we have created eco-processing, where we have decentralized our factories. So just like nature is everywhere, our factories are also everywhere. It is not one particular center where you have to send this waste. You can set up this particular processing plant right in your backyard, to having it in a village. It can be on wheels as well. You can take it from one place to the other. So it's very much decentralized. Instead of having one huge factory, we have these multiple factories all across India and now also the world. And that helps us process the waste that is generated very locally and create products for that particular location. For example, we make toilets. So all the waste that is collected from that particular area, we convert them into bricks, and these bricks are made by the villagers themselves to make toilets and houses for their particular area. So that's generating employment, as well as recycling and also creating these eco products. As it was mentioned in my introduction, we convert very different types of waste into different products made, be metal and textile waste into paver blocks, artificial wood made from human hair. All this result in a unique circular economy, where one man's waste becomes the other man's treasure. Now, as I am elaborating on the same, I'm happy to share with you one of our recent case study of how PPE face masks will be converted into bricks. So, as you guys would have heard, during the lockdown, every day you see all these pictures of how PPE face masks are ending up in the oceans, how all these, creatures are being affected, especially the recent study showing that there are more face mask in the oceans than the jellyfish. So this kind of started giving me an eco anxiety while during the lockdown. So I started working with the PPE face mask particularly, and created this brick 2.0. Talking about that brick 2.0, it's basically 52% of the entire brick has the PPE face mask, which is collected in a very specific manner. We have eco bins for it. Once they reach us, we'll be disinfecting it, shredding it into pieces, and mixing it with our previously patented P-block recipe, which consists of industrial paper waste and binder. So this is basically trying to find solutions whenever you can, and why I gave you this example is because no matter wherever you are sitting, no matter what age you are, innovation can happen as long as you observe. So I usually give this formula to everyone who wants to have a startup. uh, First, observe. So observe a problem around you, observe what's going on, observe the nature. Nature is not will not just give you a problem, but it will also help you get a solution of it. So observe a problem around you. Second is fail. I have failed several times. There have been a lot of challenges that I have faced, especially trying to bring a new technology in a place where working with waste was a taboo. Being a 16-year-old trying to sell these bricks in a village, trying to make them understand how are they better, how are they better than the conventional bricks. So all these challenges and hurdles come, you fail, but failure is the best way to make you understand how not to do things or what you need to do more. So absolutely fail. Third is learn from your failures. Very important. You just don't keep failing, you also learn something out of it. Learn from what your observations are. I still consider myself as a constant student forever. I would always say that it's a constant learning process. You learn new things, you get inspired, and you create products out of it. So lastly, it's solve a problem around you. See what's going on. Try to be helpful. So when you're doing all these things, assess yourself in three major things. When you are innovating or you are starting a startup, keep these three things very much in mind. The first one being is it has to be environmentally impacting. So take care of the environment. Try to see how you can help it rather than destroying it. Track your carbon footprints. We need to very much assess its environmental impact. Second, it should be socially impactful. So as you are trying to solve a problem, try providing a solution which will actually create a mass consumption, because that will help a lot of people who are in need get the solution. So and that results to the third one, which is economically viable. Try keeping your product as economically viable as possible. It just doesn't mean that you give up your profits for it, but just trying to maintain a balance of all these three things while you are assessing your startup or trying something new. it also doesn't mean that as you are just doing social work or social service, you don't earn something out of it, because you ultimately need to sustain. A lot of startups fail because after some point they are not able to economically sustain themselves. So it just does not need to be cost effective for the consumers, but also should be um, able to generate profit for your company. So having a balance of all these three things is very much necessary. And I think, this being said, I want to now open the floor for more Q&As, because I think that will be much more interactive rather than me constantly speaking about things.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. I think what you mentioned here, the most critical point today is to solve. A lot of
Correct.
us are very conscious. We want to use resources carefully. We have a lot of ideas, but we keep it to ourselves. And now that you shared such a pragmatic approach, such a practical approach to, do something, not just think about it, but apply it practically,
Yeah.
is something we all need to tap upon. So I see a lot of students raising questions live right now as well. We'll start with the Q&A. So the
Sure.
first question which has cropped up is, it says how electronic waste or e-waste can be handled at the grassroots level, considering the huge amount of e-waste generated by households.
So I think, before I answer this, I want to say India is very much, I like to call it as, we have it in our culture of Jugaad, and grassroots innovators are the key
True.
aspects of it. Our mothers are the biggest recyclers. So now coming to this point about recycling at the grassroots level, especially the e-waste. E-waste is a very difficult waste to work with. So there are lots of components and aspects of it. There is this one aspect where it has precious metals in it, so that is being extracted, but the unused may be plastic, may be the metal aspect of it, the outer layer of it, or multi-layer plastics. So all these things, there are various machines and various techniques that we have developed. Probably I think I can share more details about it if you send an email to me.
Sure.
I can guide you on the same as to how we can do it. But the major point is about decentralizing. Instead of having this huge factory, you keep it in the village. It can be a way of collecting it. It can be used into small. So if it's coming in a small aspect, then we can convert it into home decor products, corporate gifts, things like that. But if it's coming in a uh, larger quantity, then we have other solutions how we can first recover the metals and all the other things, and then the leftover part can be converted into panels. It can be converted into structures which are of use to those villages.
Right. Dr. Desai, this makes me very inquisitive now to understand if at all there is a solution. I'm not sure if there's a solution. I want this for our students and each one of us who's present here. Converting these, usable resources into bricks or doing something this can only be done at a very huge level. Is there anything which we can do at individual level, maybe practice it at our homes itself and try to reuse something in multiple ways?
Absolutely. I think so. The core about recycling itself starts from doing things personally. So the first thing that I want to tell everyone is, only buy things that you need and not the things that you want. This automatically will help you reduce your waste consumption, like generation of your waste directly. So that's number one point. The second point is about trying to identify what are the types of waste that are coming in your generated from your household. So if it's paper, you can convert it into various products. You can keep collecting it till it piles up, and then maybe make bricks, maybe make products such as, as I said, lamps, clocks, which we are doing it in rural areas where we are training these women to make jewelries out of all these waste that are generated from that particular village. So you can do a lot of things. Coffee lovers, if there is coffee waste being generated, you can collect it, and we actually have this DIYs where we help you create products out of it. You can make coffee mugs out of it, a lot of other products out of it. So the core is about identifying what the waste is. The wet waste, absolutely, you can compose it. That's the most common practice. And a lot of waste which are not recyclable at household, we are here to help. So what we have introduced is subscription services. So anyone who wishes to subscribe to that can basically identify certain types of waste they want to collect and send it to us. We provide them those boxes. They can keep collecting it. When it's filled, we will collect it from your place and then create products, and we can give you credits against those products. Now talking about, as it's a school level or a college level thing, we have introduced something called eco centers. So basically you can have an eco center in your own premise, where students, teachers, parents, anyone who is interested to work with waste can come to that place. It's like an exploration lab where materials are kept. We have a huge variety of materials students can work with, create products out of it. We have a lot of success stories coming from this particular program that we run in a lot of colleges here, and we have had startups, that are now making products out of the ways that they identified as students. So I think that would be an interesting aspect to look into for students to be involved. And looking at the current pandemic, probably maybe starting in their own houses, trying to explore with different ways can be a good way to start.
Right. Very well answered. And I think it gives a lot of opportunities and it opens the doors for a lot of our students to also participate in these initiatives. The next question is, Dr. Desai, first of all, heads up to Ecolite Studio, a micro-social enterprise which employs underprivileged women to make eco-friendly decor. So we want to ask, what was the inspiration behind this, or what motivated you to empower the rural women?
So it's a very interesting story. In fact, while we were constructing a toilet in a local village, a woman actually came to me. I was visiting that village, trying to see this progress. And at the house where the toilet was being constructed, this woman came to me and started arguing with me. It's like, why are you making this toilet for me? I don't want this toilet. So it kind of puzzled me. It's like, why I'm providing an infrastructure to you and you don't have to pay for it. So what was the problem? Is she, and the answer that she gave kind of struck the idea behind Ecolite Studio. Was that she said that I do not have money to even maintain this structure because I hardly earn more than 200 rupees a day, and I cannot afford to make my kids study. I will not be able to maintain this toilet, so I don't need it. And that gave me like an inspiration or an idea that if these women cannot come to a factory to work, then how about bring the factories to them? So that generated the idea of micro social enterprise Ecolite Studio. So what we do is this: we these women have their own working hours, so they are not employees; they are women entrepreneurs. We train them to make jewelry, home decor products, different other materials out of waste, and they basically at their own convenient time create these home decor products and are being sold not just in India but also internationally. Most of our clients are international ones, and majority of the production cost goes to them because they themselves are strength and micro factories, powerhouses. So a woman on an average sitting in her house can earn 3 times more than what she would have gone for 8 hours and earned out of it. So that has changed a very big, it has brought a very huge social change where these women now have a say in their families, because a lot of villages women are not allowed to go out and work. So they were very much constrained into the house, but this has brought like a way where they gather, they interact with other women from around India, and are always learning new things. So that's been a very close to my heart journey, and I'm very excited about what are the new things that we are coming up with, especially post pandemic.
That's great. Dr. Desai, a lot of our students are here on the panel live with us. They have few questions to raise. The first student is Arya Seni. Arya, can you please enable your camera and ask the question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My question for you is that in India, the concept of waste management was not so popular. So how difficult this journey has been for you so far?
So absolutely, when it all started, actually, it's wrong to say that waste has not been popular. It's just that the people were not taking it seriously, or the people were not trying to see it as recycling. Jugaad, we have always heard about it. As I said earlier as well, moms are the biggest recyclers. All our favorite T-shirts, one stone down, would have always become a pocha or a carry bag, by our mothers. So we have had it in us about recycling. It's just that waste somehow had become a taboo. We don't speak about it. It's dirty. It's not supposed to be touched. It had become a huge problem as such. So when I started, I come from a background where my grandfather was one of the first chartered accountants of my town. We have a temple built there. So when I was trying to explain to my family and the society about working with waste, they thought I had gone crazy, and it's like, I'm bringing down the family name. But then I decided that I wanted to do anyways, because that's kind of a it's I never saw it as something that was useless. I would always consider it as an asset. And there were a lot of challenges, like people tried to make fun of it, thought I was crazy. So those challenges were just minuscule, because I was very much focused on what I believed in. But the other major challenge, as I mentioned as well, is about trying to accept that this is something made out of waste. So in fact, a lot of times when I am doing exhibitions and all in different places, I do not mention that this material is made out of waste. They observe it, they test it, and then I would say, oh, by the way, this is made out of waste. So trying to make things that may look like a conventional material helped my way of trying to make people understand that waste does not look ugly. If you see our lamps, the things that Eco Light Studio women do, a lot of times when we go to these villages, women were also very much skeptical about trying to, work with waste, because it's like, oh, ye kachra hai, we cannot touch it, and all these things. It's a shudh. All these the words that are kind of related also to the religious aspect were done, but then I would try to make them understand through our own culture and through our own ways that yes, waste can look amazing, and waste is useful. It's going to help you bring down the cost. So I think that's a way I still face a lot of different challenges every second day, but it's a part and parcel. More, in fact, I keep asking for more challenges so that I don't get bored out of it. So
Thank you so much, sir.
Well, that's a wonderful thought, I believe. For our students also, keep asking for challenges, keep looking out for challenges, and then there's a lot of growth. Okay, we have next student here on the panel. Can we have Shelza, please?
Hi, sir. Shelja here. Sir,
hello.
I wanted to ask if you believe in the notion that best ideas come from funny things, as the inception of your story began with a mix of paper and chewing gum. And we've read this story on the platform Your Story as well. And we are also with you bringing the concept of reuse and recycle in such a commercial way. You've brought it out in such a commercial way, and this another industry that's been engulfing every other bound in a very powerful way, that's technology. So how is it that you are seeing this industry, the reuse and recycle industry, uh, coordinate with technology, and how is this going forward with it?
See, I think the first thing would be yes, absolutely. I believe in ideas always come from funny sources or funny incidents, and I still laugh about how crazy things we do. Always at the lab, if you visit our centers as well, these eco centers that we run, we're always trying out something that no one does. Some student will come up and say, "Sir, we found this in a gutter that's been." Maximum there are these plants that are growing here. It's completely of no use. Water hyacinths, a lot of things. For example, the human hair concept, we converted into panels being used for furnitures for that very same salon. So absolutely, innovation keeps coming from even funny incidents. But talking about now, technology. And so, as I said, from beginning, before, waste was a much more simpler concept and was being recycled by nature itself. uh, we have the technology have made the material very complex, and that's one of the reason nature is not able to break down all these materials, and that's why waste is generated. So it is us who will have to help nature speed up its process. So I see especially also the technologies that we are working. If I give you an example, the biggest being we are working with 3D printing of houses made out of waste. So that's, it's just trying to keep ourselves updated with technologies and trying to bring a mix of both of them in a way that both coexist is a very important task, because with there are going to be definitely a lot of challenges that will come. And as you know, we were not expecting PPE pollution being created, but the pandemic resulted into it. And I think the reason why technology has helped us during this pandemic is because we have taken everything digital. So just like I'm interacting with you guys every week, I'm interacting with a lot of women in the eco centers that we are running, so and just trying to keep them motivated as to what we can do. We are taking up now orders completely digitally and fulfilling them as well. So I think that these are different technologies that we are incorporating in terms of the digital aspect of it. In terms of the working aspect, we are still evolving, and both will coordinate in terms of recycling industry altogether.
Sir, I'm also interested to know what are the opportunities for management professionals in this sector?
A lot of opportunities are there for the management students, especially this has brought in a whole different line of work that you guys can do in terms of researching, as I was mentioning, analysis. So a lot of analytical part in terms of identification of waste, trying to see how it will impact, how a product can impact. Then there are the normal general occupation, but if you're talking about something unique opportunities, then micro startups can be an absolute good option for the management students trying to manage an entire micro space in a village, or trying to create a platform which can help all these things. So these are some of the general ideas, and then apart from that, absolutely your interest in recycling can bring a lot of collaborations of management with the concept of sustainability. So I think these are different ways you can find or create your own opportunity or create your own field as well.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering this question. We have another student with us, Siddhant, who is newly joined our institution. Siddhant, you can raise your question, please.
Greetings of the day, sir. Sir, I want to know that how you come up with this brilliant idea of reusing and converting waste into something useful at such a tender age, and what hurdles did you face exactly? How difficult was it for you to make people aware of it and add them into this particular step? Because considering simple fact, it's very difficult for a student or a 10-year-old boy or even a teenager to encourage someone for a particular endeavor.
So, answering your first question, I would love you to go and watch Captain Planet. They are that will probably self answer your question about how inspired I was, because if you see a single episode, you will understand. It speaks about pollution. It speaks about trying to save the environment. So as a kid, as a 10-year-old, you get very fascinated by trying to help your superhero, and that exactly helped me do the same. So once I had that, I started doing all these crazy things. My parents literally thought that I how if you see Big Bang Theory, if you've seen that, Sheldon. So my parents also thought that I had gone crazy and I needed to be tested. But that's a way of trying how people perceived it, that okay, I had gone this is something very stupid that I'm doing. Okay, how can a chewing gum and paper become a brick? What is he talking about? In fact, there were when I started initially, there were a lot of these a couple of newspapers and channels had spoken saying working with converting a house made from paper waste and chewing gum. Someone doing this is a crazy person. So but what I would always do is this, I call it as a layman's test of understanding. So even if I have a lot of research reports, government affiliated labs proving my product, still it will not make a general public understand. So what I would always do is I would take a regular brick. I would take my brick, especially at that age I was working with brick. So I would tell them, okay, drive a car over it, throw as hard as you want, hit it with hammers as much as you want, dip it in water for as many days as you need it, and compare it with the regular red brick. They would do that, and I would always, I had the small camera on my, so I would always click these pictures and all these things of them themselves trying to prove me wrong. And I think that kind of cleared their doubt as well about how how this particular concept, or how this waste of coming from a 16-year-old was becoming a product that they wanted to use. So that was the thing. Now talking about the social aspect of it, till I didn't achieve on a high national level, people still thought that I was not doing anything, kind of a thing. But I always believed in what I love doing, what my passion lied. And that's one of the reasons why I'm very happy that I was one of those pioneers to bring waste mainstream. Because till then we were only seeing waste recycling in the eyes of a raddiwala or segregators overall. So I think that kind of was that journey that probably, I think it was a hard one. I lost a lot of people in the way, but you have to lose something to gain what you have believed in. So I think that should answer your question.
All right.
Well, I think, Dr. Desai, you're teaching us a bigger lesson in the sense that we have to believe in our thoughts, and age is no bar, I guess. If
Absolutely.
in case we can learn from our environment, we can give it back, then we're absolutely moving in the right direction. We have another student with us, Srijan Kumar, who has recently joined our institution, Asian Law College. Can I have Srijan here, please?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Sir, I really want to know, sir, how are you able to set up the laboratory for the waste management at a very young age? Like, sir, who motivated you? And sir, what were the resources you required for the same, and how you manage the finances?
So if you see my initial lab, it looks nowhere like a lab. It's just a namesake lab. It's basically do dhane ka dabba, a couple of small mixing tools, and that's like a very grassroots, very basic. Uh, like a lab. If you read the book The Recycle Man, which is written on my life and journey, you will see the picture of how the initial lab looked like, and that will give you a general idea about it. But what my inspiration was, again, is the other cartoon Dexter's Lab. So that's where the lab came from. But in real life, my biggest supporter and helping hand was Dr. Kalam. So I had written to him once I had completed, made those first 3,000 bricks and made a prototype house. And I'd written to him. He was kind enough to reply me, and I got to speak about it to him and also to a lot of innovators. So that kind of started my journey in terms of how from believing in my own self to a lot of other people believing in my technology and being able to prove it, and the biggest being the ex-president of India. And my idol has always been him as a scientist. He has done wonderful work. So that's something that kept me going. I have had That was my biggest motivation to continue even in those hardest time. In 2015, I had almost lost everything that I had worked for, because I tried bringing in an investor, and he ended up cheating and trying to take away my patent, and I almost gave up everything and restarted. But what kept me going back then as well was just the idea that I believe in what I do. My products are going to help in all the three aspects which I spoke: environment and social, and also it was commercially viable. So why should I give up when someone else did a mistake? And so always keeping that in mind kept me going, and that's one of the reasons I'm sitting here today.
Well, Dr. Desai, I want to say something here. I think our students should leave these Netflix series and go back to the cartoon days. You've learned so much from there. I think it's just a matter of perspective where we as kids were enjoying those cartoon series. You were actually learning and getting motivated from the same.
And I think the problem is they don't make those cartoons anymore. So that's where the sad part is. But I hope a lot of students, after hearing me, would go back to those cartoons, and probably even till today, they are still most relevant ones and still will help understand these concepts. And as far as about Netflix is concerned, well, students there are a lot of content out there that can help them motivate as well. So probably finding the right motivation is very much the key here.
Right. Dr. Desai, at Asian Education Group, we believe in nurturing and building the resources who are not just academically well defined, but critically, culturally, socially, and environmentally very responsive. So with this very notion, we have our own Eco Club, which plays a significant role in encouraging and enhancing students' participation in activities aimed at conservation, protection, and management of the environment. These activities are essential for achieving sustainable development. The need of the hour is to create an environment-friendly generation, because the present generation lives in an artificial world created by man, as you said. In order to sensitize these students towards sustainable development, our Eco Club organized an activity named InnoWaste, Innovation with Waste. By participating in this activity, students were expected to showcase how waste can be recycled, reduced, or converted into an asset. Students were expected to submit a video of 1 to 2 minutes duration showcasing their innovative ideas related to waste management. This was for our PGDM batch 2020 who recently joined the college, and I'm really very proud to say that each one of them had brilliant ideas and they were very enthusiastic and shared their ideas with us through these videos. We would first like to show you a little glimpse of the efforts of everybody who participated. Can we please have the video collage? Well, looking at such enthusiastic participation, it was really very difficult for us to also decipher. Our selection panel shortlisted 10 best videos and ideas. I'm going to speak out the name of these 10 students. Ankita Badoni, Bhavya Davra, Manju Dahiya, Nitish Singh, Rajan Singh, Sagar Kumar, Sonal Chauhan, Soni Gupta, Vikas Kumar Yadav, and Ankita Verma. Heartfelt congratulations to all of you to reach to that level. Out of these 10 students, our internal jury has shortlisted 5 best videos and ideas, and I would request you to please decipher and let us know the finalist, the final winner. So the first one is by Vikas Kumar Yadav. Can we have his video, please? Great. Our next finalist is Soni Gupta. Can we have her video, please? Okay, so that was the second one. The third finalist is Ankita Badoni. Can we have her video, please? I think that was really very beautiful. Our fourth finalist is Ankita Verma. Can we have her video?
There is no away. When we throw anything away, it must go somewhere. This line by Annie Leonard literally hits my heart. Hi, I'm Ankita Verma. Plastic is really very harmful to our loving environment. So I have this plastic water bottle which is totally damaged. Now I am going to show you in the fast forward mode how we can convert this plastic water bottle and use it as eco bricks. So let's begin. Take the bottle, stuff it with all the plastic wrappers, and our goal is to stuff it really tight and packed. And once it's packed, it becomes a little harder, and then we can use the water bottle as an institute for hollow blocks. And there we go. We all have old newspaper and waste papers at our home. So now I am going to show you one very possible way of using these waste paper into some innovative. So I have these torn paper into the water, and I have soaked them properly for about more than 4 hours. Now I have to now mash it properly. After mashing it, I have to remove the water of it. After removing excess water and taking it out into a bowl, add some glue to it and mix it properly. Now take the mold and grease it and start sticking the mixture onto it and give it a proper shape of the mold. And there you go, you have a perfect bowl made out of waste newspaper. Next one is the kitchen and the garden waste. So this waste can be totally used as a compost and manure for our plants. Next one is the replacement for aluminum foil. So I have come up with this very brilliant idea of using wax wraps instead of the aluminum foils because it will be very sustainable and eco-friendly on the other hand for our environment. So all you have to do is to take a piece of a cloth as per your requirement and put the beeswax over it, grate it and then put it over it and then bake it. And there you go, you will have a very eco-friendly and sustainable wax wrap for your food coverings.
Okay, I think she had a pool of ideas with her, lot of ideas to be shared. Can we have our last finalists with you, Nitish Kumar?
Hello, this is Nitish Singh from Asian Business School, PGDM batch 2020. So during this lockdown, I recycled some waste materials and made something that has been quite useful to me. So here are some I would like to show to you. Okay, so this is a wall clock which I made by using old clock's mechanism, a CD drive and old keyboard keys. And the second item which I made is a USB powered emergency light. I made it by using old LED bulb shell and fixed some new LEDs inside it. The design I got inspired from Iron Man movie and made it. I'll light it up and show you. There you go. So these are the items I prepared during lockdown by waste materials. And by the way, that's my pen holder which I made from perfume bottle.
And I think Nitish has spent his lockdown days really very constructively. So sir, the decision is all yours.
So I have, I think all of them. I was just making few notes while I was going through the videos. I found everyone unique in their own way. I think first one was Vikas, I think, if I'm not wrong. His was very innovative, and I think that can be something that can be massively adopted, especially for places where there is no lights available. So probably such cost-effective upcycled lights can be used. So I think he can keep that in mind and probably think about starting something. Probably I would love to have one of that and put it in one of our museums as well. So that's very interesting. The second one was concrete table, very creative, and also the bottle, the bottle planters. Was also very amazingly created. So these are examples of how creativity, at home, upcycling it is very much. These are the two examples that I would give. Then the fourth one, very informative. A lot of things that are shared. I think she can be an amazing advocate for zero waste technology. So that's her. That's my comment for her. And lastly, very creative, very innovative, and also wise use of lockdowns. I think all are winners in their own way. But if I'm to choose, I would like to choose one from the creative side of it and one from the innovative aspect, because there were two different, I could see it as two different categories, and it would not be right to keep all of them in one. So for creativity, I would give it to the Ankita for the bottle planters, because that is something that is that can be done by a lot of people, so it's massively replicable, and it can, I would like her to teach a lot of kids who can actually adopt this particular and maybe use their lockdown wisely. And the second one, in terms of creativity and innovation, would be the first one, which is Vikas, and I think that's a winner for me, Vikas, with his lamps.
Right. So congratulations to the two of you. We would like to present a certificate and medal to our two winners. I think they're here with us today. Can you both enable your cameras and present a vote of thanks to sir? Ankita first.
Thank you so much, sir, for choosing me. I believe in that the best way to start making a difference is right in your own home. We can reduce our household waste and recycle it into something more beautiful. Like I used one of a plastic bottle and turn into a bottle planter. So I believe we can turn that trash into treasure. So thank you.
That's great.
I think, Ankita, you should continue to do this and teach more and more kids about it. So I think that will be your takeaway from winning this prize, and continue to promote waste into treasure kind of platform to young women out there. So.
Well, that's great. I think congratulations to Ankita and Vikas. And I think to all the students who participated, your efforts were worth, and they're actually worth encouraging. Thank you so much for participating.
I would love all of them to send what they have done in much more details. Would love to keep them in mind and feature them as well if we need to create something, especially creativity and innovation. We encourage a lot of students, so probably these are the 5 kind of torch bearers who are giving examples of how waste can be recycled, and I want to continue to maybe help them refine such ideas and mentor them as well. So just have them write to me. Whoever is interested can share their ideas, and we can help them as well.
Indeed, sir. I think they all are going to write to you and share their ideas with you. Sir, as you say that nothing is useless in this world, and what can be a waste to you is someone's asset. Indeed, this webinar was highly inspiring and resourceful for all of us. I'm sure that our students would now become more cautious and bend more towards conservation and innovation. On behalf of the directors, faculty members, students, and the entire AG fraternity, I extend a vote of thanks to you. We would like to present a memento to you, sir, for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you.
Invite you to the AG family, and we look forward to a continued association with you in future as well.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to maybe setting up eco center in along with your group. So I think that will be interesting for a lot of students out there. And thank you so much for inviting. This was very interactive. I enjoyed thoroughly. So.
Thank you so much, sir. And sure, we'll take this forward with an eco center here at our premise. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.